You know, there's a concept of business cycles, and I look at those cycles as like waves in physics. You have peaks and you have pits, and I've forgotten how exactly it's expressed, but you have the highs and the lows. And for most businesses, you find a winning cycle and you begin to climb it, and then you peak it, and at some point you may find or determine that you may still be growing, but that overall cycle may be peaking because a disruptive cycle, another wave has hit the environment and it's taking over, and there's going to be some dilution of your customers away. Now, I studied this phenomenon at some point, looking at a number of large companies and trying to see almost the changing of the guard from IBM to Microsoft, from Microsoft to Google, from Google to Facebook, from Facebook to... And in each case, and you could look at other companies in that realm, the Intels and so on, so the computer industry in general. And in each case, you kind of ask yourself, why does this pattern keep repeating itself? And when you looked closely, you'd find that each of the companies that was the most significant before a shift happens had a stake in the shift. As in, Microsoft had a stake in web, in browsers, and in mobile, and yet didn't win there. IBM before Microsoft had a stake in PCs and computers and operating systems and in office applications, and didn't win there. Google did build out social media products. In fact, some like YouTube today, which they acquired, are still doing well, but didn't win there. We saw Facebook come in. So what the pattern I realized was that each previous company was on a cycle, usually near the peak. When a new cycle had begun by smaller innovators, that the bigger previous company would not easily shift to, would not even see totally at the point of where that rise was happening. And that phenomenon happens to every business. The question is whether you are able to jump off the climb and the peak of a particular cycle to another one when it's happening. And it's a very interesting scenario. So while I was CEO of Rankad, I attended one of the investors we had at a point was Intel Capital. So that's the investment arm of Intel, the chip giant. And they used to hold this global CEO summit where they bring in different companies, CEOs they invested in from all over the world, Asia. I think we were probably one of only two from Africa, from the North America, South America, and so on. And there was one excellent event where two things happened. We're at dinner in the evening before we make our presentations and so on, and they put, this is around 2017, 2018, before drones were very popular. They put hundreds of drones in the sky, drawing logos and stuff. Excellent picture. And then we had a nice dinner. So we're all around and we're speaking, and I see one of their vice presidents on the side, and I walk up to him and I ask him, I'm trying to understand, I mean, how did Intel miss the chip revolution for mobile devices? Because by then all the stats said that about 5 times more mobile devices were sold compared to laptops and PCs. So chips in mobile devices were outselling chips in PCs, and Intel was behind. As a result, their stock price was suffering. But I knew that Intel was an innovative company with engineering prowess. So I was just trying to understand, I mean, how did you guys miss this? And he smiled, and his answer to me was, you know, it's not that we didn't know that things were moving in this direction, but knowing is not the same as doing. That was his first answer. Then his second answer was culture. He says, you know, in Intel, our culture was about powerful chips. At the time the mobile revolution is evolving, there's no way an Intel chip would fit or work in any mobile device. I mean, the whole device would melt. Intel chips were about powerful chips that needed a lot of cooling systems and all of that. And even in Intel, the term mobile meant a slim laptop. So there was a different paradigm. And that's what I'm calling the different cycles. Intel is sailing up on this other cycle, and there's something else happening. And he says, knowing is not the same as doing. It's not that they didn't know, but shifting away from where is your success, where is your skill, your focus, where you're winning, to something else that doesn't yet have that is one of the biggest challenges for businesses. Moving from a cycle where you're rising or peaking to a new cycle that's going to eat yours is so important. So many businesses will continue to face this simply because what you are defending is your success. And it's just very difficult, while it's still successful, to let go of it enough to shift to something that is not yet successful. That was some interesting learning. But they pushed us further at that event. They wanted to send a signal to us as CEOs that sometimes you're doing okay, you think you're doing okay, but you're not truly pushing your limits. And if you're talking about real cutting-edge innovation, breakthrough innovation, innovation that will cause you to win new market share, win a market for the next 5 years, be ahead of your competition, stay ahead of them, you have to push the limits. And this is the way they communicated that to us. They took us out to a BMW racetrack, apparently somewhere out there in Southern California. BMW had built out a racetrack where people could come, pay some fee, and use different high-end BMWs and race them on different courses, somewhere like a kind of an F1 cycle, somewhere straight down, drag racing and so on. But the first thing they did was they took about 3 of us and put us into one car and had a professional driver take us around a course. Man, the gentleman took us through the scariest moments. We thought the car was going to somersault at every turn. He was firing, spinning around the bends. And after about 3 minutes, he came and parked and we were all okay. And they said, well, yes, we realized you guys thought we were going to crash, somersault and spin, but actually the car can do far more than you think it can. So now that we've taken you on a test, now they gave each of us one BMW each. Here's a timed course. You speed down the straight, there'll be a bend, you spin back and you come around, and we're going to time you to see how fast you can do it. We'll give you 3 chances to see if you can beat your time. So we each tried. I remember my first one. I reached the bend and I'm being careful, come around. I'm like, no. Based on what I've seen, I think I can push this thing hard. They're like, yeah, your brakes work, everything works. There's skid control, go ahead. So second one, by the third one, I've broken all the records. I see myself spinning around the bend, firing, coming down. You come down and you slam the brake, it stops. And the whole idea was, wow, we have tools, we have ourselves, we have things, but we're not pushing them. We're not, first of all, what they were saying was, in terms of pushing the limits in innovation, you have to understand your capacities and your limits. If you don't take time to know how far you can push, you'll never get to the true limits you can reach. And one of the things that founders, CEOs, business leaders in other domains need to learn to do is to test your capacities. In the world and language of risk management, there's something called your risk appetite, how far you want to go, where you don't want to go, and your risk capacity, what you can actually handle without breaking. And it's actually wrong to have a scenario where you don't build up your capacity to your appetite. So your appetite is where you want to go. You see food, you're excited about it, your capacity, 1 bite, 2 bites, you can't handle it, and so you can't enjoy it. So the challenge for leaders in innovation is really to make sure that where you really want to go, where your vision is, you understand the limits that you can push and test. Sometimes it includes understanding your compliance constraints. Sometimes it includes understanding the legal constraints. And I'm using the word constraints because constraints are actually the basis and determination of innovation. Constraints reflect the limits of how far you can go without breaking. And sometimes we pull up, we start breaking too early. Sometimes we start slowing down too early when we should continue to speed up. And so that was reflected in the last race model they had us do. That one was the drag race. You have a start position, straight line, maybe 500 meters, and then they've marked where the car must end. So you must get there, and there's two of you. So you must get to that endpoint first and stop within it. If you cross the endpoint first, but your car goes beyond the stopping space, you've lost. So it's a very interesting thing. Get there first, but stop within the rules. So you race with somebody, and the first time you see them, they are racing way ahead of you. But then when they get to the end point, they hit their brakes, they skid and they're out, so you won. But you won, but you were also too slow. So the idea is, can you get there first and stop within the rules? And I think that's so critical to innovation. Most innovations come up within a space where there are many questions about ethics, about laws, about regulations, about impact. And people who really want to innovate test those limits. You understand the limits and you test them. Winning innovations barely break the rules. Some people express that they bend the rules, especially in certain areas, especially where there's human impact. You don't want to break the rules because then you're going to be held accountable. But you need to know what the constraints are, understand those limits, know the rules for winning. And that's fundamentally, I think, what innovation is all about. You need to go beyond where others have reached. You need to also be able to carry it through and maintain your winning proposition.